know about you, but to me, this seems like the first expansion where we are not just going in straight to fight the bad guy, the obvious villain, but for the first time ever, we may actually be on the wrong side of the conflict. We may be the bad guys. The other side may not really be right, they may not be the good guys either, but many hints right now are pointing that we're just brainwashed and are actually the peons of the Titan Empire. We got new documents, Titan edicts, primalist hints, we got some brand new artifacts we found in Dragonflight on the Dragon Isles, and also new information in regards to Azeroth's World Soul. So what is actually going on? Just real quick before we get into the video, as you guys know, I've been using the Ridge wallet for, well, over 2 years at this point, and it is literally the only wallet that I've used since. Now, additionally, Ridge started creating key cases as well, and they sent me this awesome looking one. Now, best of all, if you use my link in the description below, you can save up to 40% off until December 22nd. So make sure to use my code Doron and check out my link in the description below. So let's get straight into the meat of the matter. I'm guessing most of you by this point played at least the intro zone in Dragonflight, or had at least seen that cinematic Raszageth vs Alexstrasza, and Raszageth was there talking about how Alexstrasza had betrayed Azeroth and her people, essentially how she sold them off to the Titans, which really drastically shifts the narrative that we're used to in expansions in general, where we're always the good guys fighting for life, and there are these demons or just tentacle demons that want nothing but chaos, and we are there to save the day and get rid of them. I'd say the only exception to this would maybe be the Burning Crusade, where we essentially just messed up Illidan's plans. Now, don't get me wrong, the Primalists are not actually nice guys whatsoever. If you have quested throughout the Dragon Isles, you might have noticed that they do quite a lot of bad things. They definitely seem like quite the villains. However, this leads us into what Blizzard said in quite a recent interview. They confirmed that the Primalists are villains, but not because of their goal, but because of what they have done. So they started out with a legit point, and they might have been 100% right, but they did so many terrible things where they became legit actual villains. Now, they were locked up for thousands and thousands of years, and in my opinion that just made them worse, although we don't really know what bad stuff they did in the past. But it does seem like that lockdown really made them angry, and then they decided to just double down on everything, double down on the evil, which all of you can witness all throughout the questlines, all throughout the Dragon Isles. However, in order to analyze if they're really the bad guys in this entire topic, we should get back to where they had started. A good analogy would be the recent events with the Night Elves, and you know how they have been getting the bad stuff all the time. For example, the Night Elves were legit 100% actual victims when Sylvanas just burned down their tree out of nowhere. But if then the Night Elves just went out and tried to wipe out everyone from the face of Azeroth and to restore the ancient Night Elven supremacy, because as you may know, at one point the Night Elves actually ruled over the entirety of Azeroth, the Night Elves would definitely not be the good guys. I mean, sure, they were 100% in the right for revenge, but they just took it too far and became villains. Villains with an original justification, but nonetheless villains, meaning bad guys. I feel like the Primalists are quite similar to this scenario, just a lot more ancient, and we also know a lot less about them. At the moment, we are in the stage of very early hints where we do have to speculate quite a bit, but some information really changed the role drastically. The old lore told us that the Titans are nascent souls inside planets, that the Titans came in to give them the condition to awaken, sort of like watering a plant, and then they naturally just evolve into magnificent Titans, so Azeroth is supposed to be this amazing Titan. However, there are evil forces out there that are out to get the Titans, like the Void that tries to corrupt the Titan, or the mad Titan Sargeras that just wants to destroy it as he believes the goal of order is completely useless. Turns out, all of us just swallowed that Titan propaganda, just hook, line, and sinker, and recently all that stuff started significantly changing. Now, I know you guys are probably going to be like, oh no, not this Shadowland stuff again, but let's just look at the info super quick, because it really does lead into Dragonflight. This might actually be why a lot of Shadowland stuff was nonsensical back in the day, because it's supposed to lead into Dragonflight. First, we got the broker books from the Shadowlands, where there was a broker guide that went all across the universe, across the various planes, the cosmological forces, to learn what is really going on. How does the universe actually work? He discovered the entire existence of the first one, Zereth Mortis. He also went to Azeroth and realized that all these historians and researchers and these supposed intellectuals are just brainwashed completely, and they all swallow the Titan propaganda. Then this leads us into Dragonflight pre-patch, the Ultima documents from a few months back, where where we learned that this was actually a legit strategy built by the Keepers and the Titans to hide the existence of the first ones, to paint the Titans as creators of everything and paint them as gods, and most importantly to hide the history of the Black Empire and all of its advancements. Now, this leads us into even more info. From the Dragonflight art book, we got a huge hint that Azeroth may actually be a soul, like a world soul, but it is elemental and magic, so it's almost certainly has nothing to do with the actual Titans. It was elemental way before the Titans ever came in and probably even knew Azeroth existed. It really does add to the actual lore because, as you may know, ages ago, the Elemental Lords were the true native beings with their elemental armies, and they essentially ruled over Azeroth. I'd say even possibly these elementals were maybe the manifestations of the World Soul's energy. Then all of a sudden, the old gods came in, they beat the Elemental Lords, enslaved them, and established the well-known Black Empire. This was essentially an empire that spanned over the entire planet. We even had a huge map that showed us like where what old god ruled. Now, even before, it was not a secret that the entire point of the old gods was to dig themselves as deep as they can and to just start pumping up Azeroth with void energies so that they can awaken a void monstrosity that could help them win the cosmological war. And there really is something going on with Azeroth, as it's really one of the most powerful planets in the universe, if not the most powerful one. However, and a big however, the difference now with the lore is that the Titans didn't come in to save Azeroth, but to essentially eliminate their competitors, and instead of pumping elemental Azeroth with void stuff, they would pump it with their stuff, the arcane, and that is literally what they had done. We had learned that they had established facilities where they not only used it to turn dragons to their side by influencing the waters, but they legit started pumping arcane into elemental Azeroth in order to have it turn into a Titan. They were told to also paint the old gods as demons and to just eliminate every single advancement of the Black Empire, to just see that period is nothing good. Now, don't get me wrong, the old gods are definitely not nice. They were not some benevolent tentacle society who were wrong with, you know, the Victor's Right history BS, but what we know about them may be completely different than what had actually happened. The reason I'm saying this is because there is more info that the Titans are actually tyrannical. First, they view their Titan Forge as essentially just a workforce and didn't like them getting free will. One group rebelled, they essentially tried to eliminate them multiple times. Then now, we are finding artifacts of Titan origin that whisper to the user, and then it leads the user to align with order, which once again is against free will. This unfortunately does lead us into that lore that Sylvanas established in Shadowlands, that we never had free will, and now once again unfortunately we are going full circle back into the Shadowlands. All of Azeroth's history might have actually been shaped by the so-called Titan Empire instead of the Black Empire, and these guys were so powerful that we didn't even know that we were being manipulated. All of this was just super subtle. A lot of races are Titan in origin, or if they were not Titan in origin, they were native races that were influenced by arcane energies, for example, the Night Elves. So we all just possibly fell into this entire mechanism and we didn't even know it. I know, kind of mind-blowing. One of the victims were the Primal Dragons because they were tied to elemental energies. I mean, these Primal Dragons are definitely not nice guys whatsoever. Instead, we kind of learned that dragons are something akin to predators, but after all, this is their natural state that the Titans had changed as they got them to join their mission. The Primalists then went crazy, so at this point they're kind of beyond repair as they're just straight out villains. But I feel like by the end of this expansion, especially as we learn more about Deathwing and what he really knew, the aspects might start changing their minds as they realize that they were Titan pawns this entire time. I mean, keep in mind, these Titan guys literally built multiple facilities across Azeroth that would wipe out the entirety of the planet if it got influenced by a different force, as we had known with Elgalon from Ulduar. This wasn't even saving the Titan World Soul, it was more like, we built this weapon, so if we can't win, no one is going to get it. And when you think about it, that is literally just innocent Azeroth being caught in the crossfire between these cosmological forces. I don't think they're going to turn Titans into just all-out villains. It's pretty obvious that the old gods are definitely more evil. They may be more evil to us because they are direct opposite of order, and all of us were shaped by order, but I think we're going to realize the Titan tyranny, and we're also maybe going to realize some of the good things as well, as essentially even those Titan minions enforcing the orders were in the end victims, such as some of the Keepers, Watchers, and even the Dragon aspects. So big changes to the lore could be coming. Thank you for watching. Check out the recent 10.1 hints by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.